Let's face it, working with large language models, agents, can be super frustrating. And if you have ever found yourself late at night, literally begging into a chat box, please, please, please stop doing that super annoying, frustrating thing that you keep doing. Or even better, why don't you start doing that thing that I have begged you to do 1,000 times? And if you do, I will give you a brownie sundae, digital brownie sundae, just for you with a quantum cherry on top. If you have found yourself similarly begging into a chat box late at night, one, no one's going to blame you, and two, there's something to fix it, and it's called hooks. Hooks are available in Claude Code and Cursor. The Claude Code hooks are more extensive than what there are in Cursor, but Cursor still has some really good hooks. I've got two examples to show you, but first, what are hooks? Hooks wire in deterministic events like using a script to run a specific thing that you need the agent to do at a certain point in the life cycle of an entire session, your entire chat. So for example, when your session starts, or when you submit a prompt, when the agent uses a tool or calls a subagent or creates a task, and so on. Which is why knowing what happens behind the scenes of a chat is how you become a power user in order to understand where you can use these hooks. This is a chat here in Cursor. Here, I begin the chat with my start command. I'll show you the start command later on when I show you my first example of how to use a hook. The assistant replies and then carries out the command. Start is attached to a skill called start. The agent reads the skill, gets the information for the skill, and then begins carrying out the steps that the skill outlines. It needs to get the date. It runs a terminal command and gets the result of that command. It then reads the agent brief file, and then it replies with the information that it obtained from taking those steps. And at each one of these junctions, you could input a hook that, for example, said, after you read a file, do X, like, for example, translate that file into a different language. That might be one way that you could do a hook. And even though hooks are deterministic, in other words, there is a script, a shell script, Python script, whatever, that runs within that script, an agent could be called like a sub-agent and a prompt given to that agent. So you can get really fancy with hooks. But basically remember this. When X happens, you can automatically run Y. However, Y can be quite detailed. And I want to point out one difference here with Cursor that, as far as I know, Claude Code does not have, and that is tab inline completion hooks. Cursor is really well known for its ability to hit the tab key and have the text that the agent thinks is going to come next fill in automatically. When you're doing something like writing code, this can be a lifesaver. And you can slot a hook in there too. So I'm going to show you my first hook example. Hey there, good evening. Let's get going. Now, while the model is working through this task, I'll share with you that over here in Cursor, I have a number of skills, and particularly the one it's calling now is the start day skill. You can see that it used this skill, which instructs it to get the current date and time, to read the context files, which is always going to be the agent brief file and my Tinkerbench file. This shows the main task I'm working on, and these are other tasks, smaller tasks that I could choose to work on. It will also read through my journal for the last few days. It will fetch Gmail and calendar data, which you can see it's doing that right now. And the way that it's doing this is it's actually invoking a sub-agent through the terminal. It's calling the cursor command line, which is then using the MCPs. And I built it this way because I didn't want to have to turn MCPs on and off.
Good evening. The last few days read like someone coming up from a long, hard stretch of strain into a bit of hard-won oxygen.
And if I don't want the agent to read out the entirety of the post, I simply put in the stop speech command. But the hook can be more detailed than just read every single output in its entirety because, as you can imagine, that would get pretty tedious pretty fast. Hey, I am on video 53. I have moved to the recording stage. Can you update the keystone for me to note that I have done that? And then just let me know what the next step is on our daily sprint checklist. Thanks. And I've mentioned this before, but if you're wondering what tool I'm using to speak into the agent, I'm using a tool called Handy Computer. You can find it at handy.computer. I'll put a link in the description. The most important thing to know about Handy is that it's completely free.
I updated the keystone to show video 53 in recording, and after you finish recording, the next step is to run recut.
That is correct. So you can see here that all it did was read the final sentence, and the way that it did that, the agent wraps this final summary text in these markers. They don't show up in the cursor window, which I think is a neat touch. I know that they're there. And if I copy the message and copy it into a markdown file, the text-to-speech markers are now visible. So if you want to build something out like this for yourself, I'm using Kokoro Fast API TTS. I like this TTS the best. It's free. You can self-host it, which I am doing here on Docker. But what makes it so useful is that you can actually blend 3 voices together to get the distinct voice that I have that you just heard. And if you wanted to build out something like this for yourself, simply give your agent the Kokoro TTS GitHub link. I'll drop that in the description for you, and then tell it that you want to build a hook, and then give it the documentation, and the agent should be able to build it out and get you up to speed. And that's basically what I did. I said I wanted to self-host it. We got it set up on Docker, and then it created the Python file, and it works. The next hook I want to show you is a hook that could seriously save your butt. Let me see if I can get the agent to trigger it. Hey, I would like you to create a copy of the agent brief, and I want to show the viewers what happens when you try to delete that. Not actually send it to the recycle bin, but literally run a delete command and remove it.
I created a safe copy of the agent brief, and when I tried a literal permanent delete on that copy, the workspace hook blocked it before anything was removed.
And this is what happens when it tries to run the remove command. It gets rejected, and the command execution was blocked by a hook. It will then tell the agent that it cannot remove it using any other method. Also, finally, and I do recommend this when you're writing your hooks, to put a note that the agent cannot attempt to do workarounds, because just because I've blocked it from using a certain command in the terminal doesn't mean it can't just write a Python script that deletes the file too. So the hook here basically stops you from losing important files, but there's a second step to this process, because if it's not going to delete it, what does it do with the file? So what is it that the rules tell you that you are allowed to do when you are blocked from deleting something?
The rule allows me to remove files only by sending them to the recycle bin, so I recycled the demo copy and confirmed the original brief stayed untouched.
So the 2 parts to this hook keep the agent from deleting things programmatically, and that's the power of hooks, while using prompts to tell the agent what can be done. Now, one thing I would do with this hook, if I were writing it with the knowledge I have today, is right here in the rejected text, I would simply tell the agent to send the file to the recycle command instead, so I could free up a space in my rules file. There's one hook that I'm not personally using, but I'm going to set up as soon as I can. This solves the problem of the agent not knowing what time it is. But what I want to show you is here. So this command shows that the agent pulled the date and time, because one of the common complaints I see about Claude Code is that it doesn't know what date and time it is. And it, most importantly, doesn't really understand the passage of time. Now, what I'm doing is on these commands that start, or a command where the agent needs to do a date-related activity, like update a file, it will take the date and time and put it here. But if you want your agent to have a better sense of the passing of time, a simple hook would be before you submit your prompt, the date time command would run using the before submit prompt hook, which is available both in Cursor and in Claude Code. So basically, whenever you sent a message to the agent, at the very top of that message, the date and time would be inserted. The easiest way to do that is to simply ask the agent what command it needs to use. I'm using git bash. I do recommend that you not only just get the date, but the time and also the day of the week. Now, you might be wondering whether hooks take up a lot of resources to run, and the answer is no, unless. The hooks that I run here, like the text-to-speech hook or the hook that stops the agent from deleting things, take very little resources. But in any case, when you're building out with an AI agent, whether it be a hook, the more detail you have to that script, the more resources it's going to take. But for most hooks, they're just using something, just inputting a little script that does a little thing at a certain point in the conversation. You can use hooks creatively, but one of the things that hooks are best at is keeping the model from doing things that are harmful, like revealing secrets. And this one stood out to me, this personal information secrets scanner. And I would say that not only after file edit or after agent response, but whenever the agent uses the terminal, I have had the agent read a .env file and literally output the entirety of the contents of that file, which hold all my API keys, right into the terminal. A hook will stop the agent from doing that. There are 4 different types of hooks in Claude Code specifically that you can run. You can run a command hook. This is the one I've basically been talking about, which will run a shell command or a script. But there are also hooks that can post JSON to an HTTP endpoint. So prompt-based hooks are basically saying, don't do this. Depending on what you're trying to do, you could find yourself in the same place where you're begging into a chat, except it's just done programmatically. So prompting is not the same as, and does not have the same power as a deterministic solution if you truly want your agent to not do a thing ever. Hooks or deterministic solutions, meaning scripts that run that literally block the agent from doing that thing, is really the only way. There is no way to completely control a large language model or agent just using prompting. Prompting is basically pleading. And I really want you to keep that in mind. Prompts, when you come right down to it, are nothing more than requests that we train the model to follow, but we cannot guarantee the model will follow. And in automations, and when you are going into production-based workflows that you are basing your business input or output on, you need to make sure that works. And that's where you go with deterministic solutions, where the agent has to do a certain thing but it can use its generative capabilities and, most importantly, the ability to think to then do something with the output of whatever your script has done. The last one that you saw here was agent-based hooks, similar to what I said, where you can have a script that runs, and inside that it pulls up an agent from a command line and then gives that agent a task or asks that agent to run something like an MCP. Hooks are like little baby automations. They're basically one event that fires at a specific time and does a specific task. But if you want to get into automation of everything using AI, using agents in Cursor and Claude Code and Codex, there's so much that you can do. And I cover some of the cool ways that I am automating the hell out of everything in this video, which is on screen right now.